Hey, welcome to Curveball. This is Heather Campbell, and I'm here with the one and the only Loren Cellentani. Okay, so let me introduce you. You know those people who literally, you can just look at this radiant human being who feel like a walking lightning bolt of magic purpose and clarity. Yeah, that's Loren. But don't let that radiant confidence fool you. She earned it the hard way. Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Her curveballs didn't come gently. She had a panic attack at her college graduation. Chronic anxiety disguised as wellness. Ooh, that's going to be an interesting one. A mid-divorce spiritual awakening. And just when you think the movie montage ends, no, pre-cancer diagnosis, you're just like, nope, let's just keep on layering it on. I feel like when I feel like that, I feel like I'm like underwater and I'm just barely able to get out of the water to take a breath right before someone dunks me down again. That's what that feels like. And so each plot twist peeled back another layer, unlocking gifts she did not know she had, and ultimately guiding her from burnout in corporate America. I cannot imagine you in corporate America to a business rooted in deep purpose and powerful impact. Today, she helps women stop seeing their emotions and bodies as problems to fix and start honoring them. Oh my God, as the actual GPS to everything they're here to create. I love this. I actually interviewed somebody earlier this week who is, your problems are the path to peace. And I'm just like, holy moly, who would have known? It's all right there. Like all the answers are there right under the noise. So Loren, I am so glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you. And I know the dog we're babysitting, she could feel the energy, excitement. As soon as she just finished, she ran up here. And
that's amazing.
I don't know if you can see her tail, but she was excited. I always know when the animals or technology starts interacting, I always know it's going to be a wonderful show. Hello,
oh my
Peter.
gosh, amazing.
Yeah,
is the dog big enough? Can you?
I don't know. She can't. Oh, she's,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, she's like a toddler. So let's talk. So you said you had your very first panic attack ever, right conveniently in the middle of your college graduation. But you also thought like that was a huge awakening for you too at the same time. So can you take me to that moment? Like at what point were you in the graduation when this hit?
I would say, now looking back, it was probably the whole morning leading up to it. And I think a lot of listeners can probably relate to being the good girl, doing all the right things, checking off the list, getting the good grades, good school, getting a good job. Like I could just remember from kindergarten, I remember like my parents, like bless their heart, doing the best they can with what they could do, getting me to really focus on the future.
Yes, that is such a Midwestern. Lauren and I, we found out we both grew up in Ohio, and that is such a Midwestern thing. Yeah. I remember I quit my job to look for a job, and my parents were like, "Why?" And I was like, "Because I'm not happy." And they're like, "What does happiness have to do with your job?" Yeah. If it was a job, they wouldn't call it work. And I'm just like, "Oh my gosh!" So that's like a real thing. So I can really appreciate that. Yeah. I really relate to that.
Yeah, and I think so many of us do, especially I'm a millennial woman. I feel like I've seen a lot of women in my generation who are like, okay, a lot of their moms were working. They were starting, like the first generation that was really like baby boomer generation that was like starting to be in the workforce.
Right.
So it was like really almost unlearning that masculine version of feminism and starting to learn about what do I want to do. And so I had a great job lined up. It was in corporate America.
What was your major?
So my major was commercial photography. It was very creative.
Yes.
And my dream at the time was to go to New York, and I was in love with Annie Leibovitz, like big photographers at that time.
Yes.
And I had a huge poster of New York. That was like my dream board before I knew what dream boards were. But then I ended up getting this really good job, which I'm so grateful for. I loved people I worked with for over a decade there at a huge fashion retailer in Columbus.
Oh, so does it start with the letter L?
It starts with the letter A, Abercrombie and Fitch, which used to be a limited brand. And I'm so grateful for that. Like for the people who are like on a healing journey, having the corporate job or whatever job, the middle ground is not your end destination. So grateful for that. And I think for a long time, it was a safe space because for me, walking back to the graduation, right as the ceremony started, it was like all like this flood wave of energy and emotions and just, oh shit, I spent my whole life preparing for this moment. Now what?
Right.
Now what? And then it was like, oh my God, this job isn't what I want to do. The relationship, the college boyfriend, oh, I don't know if I want to be with him forever. Everything was just
Right.
coming up. And so I was really triggered. And I never had really dealt with anything like that in my life at all.
Well,
So,
and I don't know how old you are, but I'm assuming it was probably like maybe plus 10 years ago, right?
oh yeah. I'm in
Yeah.
my mid-30s now. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like, who really was talking about this kind of stuff, really?
Yeah. Especially
You know?
Midwest, very conservative family, very loving, but like mental health was not
Right.
on the radar. Having that corporate job, having the desk job, being able to put my headphones in, starting to listen to podcasts and audiobooks just to focus me actually led me to wanting to grow, to all of what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it was a long journey, but the anxiety really was the starting point, this jumping off point. I didn't realize at the time into redirecting me that your body isn't in the way, it's leading the way. And sometimes it really does take shaking you apart to really get you re-guided to who you're supposed to be.
Right. Isn't there some sort of quote that said, at first I whispered and you didn't listen, and then I spoke and you didn't listen, and then I nudged and you didn't listen, so now I just have to like basically push you off the cliff. But it's so interesting too, because it must have been so confusing too when you were feeling that, like just to feel like, and then to be, I don't know. I just remember I went to Ohio State. And so our graduation was in the football stadium, and you were in like a sequence and an order. I was not near. It was such a bummer. I was not near one of my friends. Like it was so that must have just been odd. So then you're at this desk job where like, it's just safe. Like you don't hate it. You don't love it. You're in your 20s. And I'm assuming you're working with a lot of other people who are also your age. You probably have good work friends and that kind of stuff too. So then what was the shakeup to have you move on to what you really wanted to do?
I think it was like a series of events. I think that was the catalyst to be like, I spent all my life to become something that, and now it's like, who do I want to be? Who am I really am? And hindsight's 2020. But I just started I got really interested in health and wellness. Instead of really looking inward, I started eating healthier. That really helped. I dropped, I don't even know how much weight because I never weighed myself to begin with, but the freshman 15 kind of going to college, I was coming back to my normal, healthy self, athletic self, felt better. But and I even started health coaching. I got into that part-time. So that really started getting me onto this path and realizing I was so restrictive. And is this healthy enough? Is this, there's actually a term for it called orthorexia, where you're like obsessive over how you have to eat the healthiest thing.
Oh, that is so, that's a form of disordered eating then too, right?
Yes. Okay. So over the years,
what's the most extreme example of that?
Oh no, it depends on other people. I would say like a lot of people would have anxiety around if they went to a social situation and they couldn't eat anything. For me, I would always bring food with me or
I was at a concert. I was at a concert and it was in a small venue. So we're right up in the front of the stage. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, it smells like radishes right now, which is not a good smell. And then I look over and there was this couple and they were extremely fit. Like this woman I call Michelle Obama arms. Like she was ripped and she was there eating a salad. And I'm just like I get the discipline and everything, but I'm also like, oh my God, have a less smelly salad. Don't bring me in on this. I was just like, what a weird thing. But then I thought, wow, like they're super committed. Like she probably is, I have to eat like every certain hours and this is what I'm going to eat. So she's sitting there with this Tupperware container eating this thing that smelled like dirty feet. And I was just like, I've never seen that. But she probably had orthorexia.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about intention is what I'm learning too now. It's like now, before I was trying to control the physical in order to feel better emotionally, energetically. Now I like eating healthy most of the time because I feel better. I feel more clear. I have more energy. I'm more calm. But like yesterday, I had 3 slices of pizza because my partner ordered a huge pizza. And I was like, that looks so good.
Sometimes pizza is literally the
and
best.
It just hits the spot.
This is an elixir. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah,
and we're in New York right now. He's from New York, and there's no pizza like New York. He's like the legit pizza, not snob, but connoisseur.
Right.
But yeah, there's a balance in everything in life, right? And so my journey started very health-wise, physical, and through life itself, I started to expand other ways to more spiritual aspects, to meditation, to more yoga. And then when I found myself in another kind of turning point in my life, going through a divorce in my mid-late 20s, I was like, okay, I already understand law of attraction works. Like, I'm on this purpose thing.
Right.
But like, I can't be pointing the finger at other people. It's really this point in my life. If I truly believe that I create my reality, I'm going to have to take a look at who I am, who I'm being, the actions I'm taking, the thoughts I'm making.
49 when I thought about that. Like when I finally was in a situation where I really could look at it. Like, and it's so interesting because I try to share as much as I've learned with my kids now, because I just think about how different my 20s, 30s, and 40s would have been if I just wasn't, because I think it's interesting. You had said something like, I didn't look within at first. I started to eat healthy. So it is so interesting because it's easy, because I see this happen a lot. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and some entrepreneurs will have this offer in the market that they want to do. And it's just not clicking because they're not practicing the thing that they themselves teach.
Yeah.
If you're a goal setting coach, you got to make sure you also set your goals. Like you can't not do it yourself. So it's just so interesting because it's very easy to get focused on helping other people. And it's so altruistic, and who's going to say, oh, I want to help these people. Oh no, don't help these people. No, of course they're going to be like, oh my God, you're the nicest, you're the best. But that is so interesting how it is like outward looking, even to the point of like changing your body to embody this kind of person. But you were there on the outside, but not like 100% there on the inside. Do you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Sometimes people they go to therapy and they're just like, oh my God, I'm going to be a therapist. So then I can stop my therapy and just diagnose everybody else. That happens, I think, a lot.
And that's why that's why we have imposter syndrome. And my partner and I talk about this all the time. It's so easy to talk.
Right.
But are you really walking the walk? It's not about the perfection of being the saint or whatever that you do. We're human.
Right.
It's about how are you going to weather the storm? What's your approach to life? What's your approach to the unexpected? And how can you deal with the uncontrollables? And it's really leading by example. And I see so many times women I work with now that feel that imposter syndrome. And it does come down to that. Are you practicing your own medicine? I knew so many yoga teachers that were wonderful yoga teachers, but just taught all the time and didn't practice. It's really easy to tell people what to do. And that next level really comes when you can take a look at yourself and say, okay, what's the next step I need to work on to embody? I'm always the student.
Right. That is so true. And I don't know why, I just remember once I had this very deep, persistent limiting belief. I could actually feel it in my body. It was right here. So I think about my chakras, I had this speed bump right here. And I remember this day I released it. And it was the first time I was really into Course in Miracles and really understanding, forgiveness, God. Oh my God. Just having such major respect for the one and the only Jesus Christ. I was just oh my God, the whole thing was just so interesting to me. And I just remember it was the first experience I really had like that, where I released it. I could feel it. It went away. And it was almost like this slideshow of, this is the first time it happened. Then this is it when it was superset. And it was a little presentation to me. It happened super fast. And then it was just gone like a vapor. And I thought, amazing. The limiting belief is gone. Therefore, another one just comes up. Another one will emerge eventually. But it's just so interesting. I really thought, oh, there's just the one and the only limiting belief.
We all want to believe that.
Yes, I know. It was just oh. And then when I realized, I'm oh, it's like digging a hole on the side of, if you're at the shore at the beach, you dig a hole and it stays empty exactly until the next wave comes. And that's limiting beliefs. Yeah.
And I think also it's, as humans, we came here to have this experience, to have the contrast, which just means like
Yeah.
the unexpected, feeling good, feeling great, feeling in between, feeling bad, because that helps us clarify what we want, our desires, but it also
Right.
makes us grow. This is why your show's called Curveballs. It's like
Like
we need that push, sometimes off the cliff.
sometimes, like, absolutely. And I have interviewed so many interesting people. And I just think about the one thing that is so interesting. So I've met people from all around the world. So I am like so pro podcast. I was on Loren's podcast, which is The Sovereign Woman, right? Sovereign
Sovereign self. But yeah,
Sovereign
sovereign
Self. Yes.
woman works
Okay.
too.
And so but is that when people are faced with a curveball, and some people have had the unimaginable, like they've had their children die. I mean, just they were in like a tornado and then a flood, like at the same time. I'm just like, what is going on? But there's always a point where there's a decision where somebody makes a decision. Like that they're just like, I am going to do something with this. I just remember when when my brain broke last year, I was like, I cannot go through like something so significant and life changing and not create meaning out of it, because I don't want it to be like a blip. Oh, that just happened in 2024 and now everything's fine. And it's no, like that happened like for me. So let's talk about this, because this is your whole field of study, which is
Yeah.
your body and your emotions. They're leading the way, right? And we can use those as complete and total information centers, right? Like when you go to the airport and you're lost and you're just like, find the person, the information booth, right? And that's like so tell me more about that. How does it work? Because I think some people are just like, bullshit. You can use your problems are helpful. They're just like, this does not feel very helpful right now. Let's change their minds.
That's, to be honest, that's going to be their truth, right? It's like law of attraction, life brings us evidence for what we're looking for.
True.
So if you guys are ready or maybe willing to entertain something differently, I think, Heather, you explained an example of it already when you were like, I think you're pointing right above like your solar plexus, and you have that
right.
experience, energy moving, the flash slideshow of those memories and the through lines. Einstein said energy can be created but can never be destroyed.
Right.
So it only just changes state. So it's, as humans, we typically don't, in the modern age, have practices to release that stress, to release those emotions, not only the limiting beliefs, but just like someone cut you off in traffic.
Right.
And you hold that in. And so when we compound that years and years, you can physically feel it in your body.
Doesn't it go down, like it can actually go down right to the like genetic proteins that create all of your cells. Like it changes. Did you see those pictures of those astronauts that were in space for a really
that's
long time?
crazy. Oh my.
So it's just what happened up there. They were probably under such an unbelievable amount of stress to the point that it just changed them so dramatically. And then I just wonder, can it change? Well, I guess it can.
It can change back.
If it can go one way, why couldn't it go in the other direction, right?
Exactly. That's actually how I got into a lot of this work. After I got divorced, I was tuning a lot more in spiritually, still health coaching, but a lot of the women I was health coaching on the side were very successful, whether entrepreneur or corporate career.
Right.
And they knew everything to eat or not eat. And like they knew all the knowledge.
Right.
It was the stress component. It was the emotional component. It was having boundaries with themselves to actually take 5 minutes to sit and eat their lunch and not just work through lunch. It was like really this mindfulness, almost coming back to our body and feminine approach that they were coming in to get help with me for. And I went to, around that time, I started studying with Dr. Joe Dispenza. So I know.
I love him.
And that's exactly what you were talking about. Like he started studying spontaneous remission many years ago. And now he has almost every month, like couple thousand people retreats where I've seen crazy stuff happen where people get up out of wheelchairs and walk. Literally blind and can see.
Like when he said that he was in that horrible wreck where someone ran over him and then dragged him, like a football field under their car. I mean, and he was so injured and they were like, you have to have this surgery. And he was just like, I was just like, no, I can't have the surgery. And then he would just meditate
Mm-hmm.
for his entire waking day. And if he had one like intrusive, like break from his meditation, he's, oh, I got to start over. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's so intense. But I get it because I totally get that. And I like, one of the things I really like about Dr. Joe Dispenza is I'm very much like in my head. I grew up in a really wild, chaotic, huge Midwestern family, as you can imagine. So I'm in my head a lot. I don't come down here a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think my parents were like, oh, what do you like to do? What do you want to do? I don't even think they sat me down and said, they did once. I thought I wanted to be a surgical nurse. And they were like, you really struggle with science, but if you want to, go for it. And I'm glad like that they said that to me, but you know what I mean? It's like, you just have to, I don't think they really sat down and did that.
Yeah.
You know, that's so interesting.
Our parents
Did the best
knew
they were
the best
doing.
they could
Yeah.
with what they had. And that's what is so exciting now that I feel like so many people are starting to be interested in this stuff. And going back to your body leading the way,
Right.
learning to listen and honor those emotions, not pile on the judgment or suppress them or deny them or project them, because that's your life force energy. We talked about chakras a little bit, that Kundalini life force energy. Prana is the breath of life force yogis talk about.
Yes.
Well, that's our emotions. We don't have to go to a Dr. Joe retreat or a silent meditation retreat to be able to tap into this life force energy. It's everyday life. So when we can honestly just learn practices to be present in our body, how do you feel?
Right.
What's the sensation in your body? It's very easy to start learning your own language on how to have experiences like you did.
Right.
Where we can just, okay, there's this pattern coming up, there's this belief. It's like going through the stage of denial, and then you say, oh, wow, there is something here. And then when you start to actually have that open-ended, non-judgmental, but observational conversation with yourself,
that's the best.
The energy wants to move. The energy wants to help. It wants to heal. It wants to help you manifest whatever change in your life.
Right.
And there's this aspect of being present with what's coming up, and then that aspect of surrender. We have to get out of our own way. Out of our head, right? Like you were saying, and let the body do what it knows how to.
I love what you're saying, because like when I feel like a limiting belief like really reveals itself to me, like I'm just like, oh, okay, I get this. I actually just had one. Like I just had one last week. And so what's really interesting is when that happens, I know, and I love that you were saying this, because because I used to think, oh no, I have to understand the limiting belief. Like, why do I have it? What was it doing? And so one of the things I was doing when I was journaling is I was like, limiting belief, like I totally see you out there. And I know like I created you at some point and you helped me probably for decades, but I'm a different person now. So I'm not kicking you out, but I just want to say I see you, and it means like we're going to be parting ways soon. So I just want to thank you like for your good service. And then I'll have another one of those experiences where it's like it can sometimes be like immediately after, sometimes it's a few days after, sometimes it's a few weeks after, but then it's almost like this slide to like boom. And then it's so the wisdom's revealed to me and one of the coolest parts about when it happens, it's like, even when people have like legit hurt me, like where anyone could look at the situation and say, that person was wrong and did wrong to you. I could totally see their motivation, and I wasn't mad at anybody, most importantly, me. Yeah. It was so cool. So now I know when one's there, it's just like I'm very tender with it, because I just pay attention to some of the language we use. Like I had one of my mentors, we were on a group call, and she's, if I get this wrong, you guys can just jump down my throat, or you guys can kick me in the head. And I'm just like, why do we say these things? We would never do those things. But it's interesting how we have this very aggressive language towards ourselves when we're trying to change something. So I found when I'm tender and don't block it, because talk to me a little bit about this, because I remember thinking like the one societal narrative I felt when I was like trying to figure out what's going on with my brain was that I had to somehow be heroic. That was the first thing. Like I had to do something really heroic before my brain, which I was like, I'm not doing any of that. But the second one was, if I had one negative belief, and this is the societal narrative, it's nothing what you're saying. But I thought this, if I have one negative belief, or if I have a negative belief, like sadness was my primary emotion, that I had to somehow turn that around into a positive so I wouldn't manifest that.
Yeah.
And then I realized that's not true. But talk to me about that, because that was like a real big pressure I felt for, not big pressure, but I remember thinking like I would start to cry and I'd be like, okay, go sit in your garden, go do something. Like I think about Abraham Hicks, like, go just to move one step in the direction. So I would really try to do that. But sometimes the emotions are just so big that it's not, and they're beautiful when so talk to me about that. If someone's sitting there thinking, doesn't that mean we're going to manifest bad things in our lives if we allow ourselves?
I was the same way. And I think growth is not linear. And I think I look at it as like a cycle or a spiral. So it's not so much going a spiral to pinpoint in the center, it's spiraling up as we ascend, as we grow. So we're going to come across the same themes. We're going to come across the same limiting beliefs at maybe at a deeper level or a different perspective than before. And Abraham actually talks a lot about, speaking of Abraham, they started teaching and this law of attraction stuff. And just like what you perfectly said, people were like, oh no, I want to bring my thoughts back. They're like, oh, I want to take that thought back. I don't want to say that, because they're so nervous to think anything outside of perfect alignment, perfect happiness and joy. But I think there's a balance in that. It's honoring where you're at and feeling it.
Right.
But also not keep telling that story to perpetuate it. Because when we're truly present, there's actual research that's been done. We only can truly feel an emotion for like less than 30 seconds. Anything more than that, we're recreating it ourselves.
Right. Yes. Like I had one of my mentors, one of my meditation teachers tell me that once. And I'm like, that's not true. I've had some for 14 years. I'm positive. Yeah. But what's so interesting is my daughter called me yesterday and she was upset about something. And one of the things that I learned, and this is just a practice that I did, but it worked I thought I might have ALS for a while. So I just remember this one day when I was just like, okay, you just have to feel the feeling, acknowledge it, and then describe it, and then validate it. That was the key. And then so I did this so she was really upset about something. Oh, and it's just so hard, like when your kids are hurting, because they're literally, I just think of her as little 9-year-old herself, just that little peanut inside of her. And so she was crying really hard. And then we went through and I said, how are you feeling? And she said how I was feeling. And then I said, okay, describe, what does that feel like? And I'm like, that is absolutely something that is absolutely legitimate. Like that is, I said, but then what facts, do you have any facts to support that? And that's like that was like the turning point in the conversation. So, I mean, she was crying, like, like crying. And then by the end of that, I said, and it was literally like 30 seconds. And I said, do you notice something different? She said, what? And I'm like, how you're completely calm right now? And I said, yeah. And I said, I bet if you try to go back to how you were feeling just then, you won't be able to. Like, and you can't, because you've processed that complete emotion and now it's done its part. Now it's like a vapor, it's gone. Is that how it is? That I know there's probably not like a universal experience, but is that sort of how it is, that like how it feels?
I mean, I think for what you described, that's climbing the emotional scale, as Abraham would put it.
Oh, I don't know tell me more about that.
Yeah. So our emotions, this is really the core of the work that I love helping people learn, is our emotions are a guidance system. Literal, like on your phone, your GPS, I'm going to go to this destination, put it in, go. If you miss that left turn, it's going to tell you just take the next left. And you miss that next left, it's going to tell you take the next left until it's going to reroute you completely, knowing you're still going to get that destination.
Right.
And it's not mad at you for not taking the left.
No, my car, like if I miss a turn, my car, and I'm using my car navigation, it's please turn. And I'm just like, it's like, I'm begging you. I can hear it in her voice.
Yes. And that's what our emotions are.
Oh, that is so
if we're feeling sadness, the next step above sadness might feel like anger. We're not going to stay in anger, but that's a higher vibration than feeling sad or depressed. And we're just allowing yourself to feel and climb up that ladder until you feel like, hopeful, neutral, maybe even happy. But to think that we can jump from sadness, feel it, and jump all the way to joy and like bliss it's silly to think that.
But it
So
also doesn't take a half hour either. It can be like it can be like a pretty complete processing, I feel like too. If people are like, because sitting in sadness, like I just remember, so I grew up in a family where we had the one emotion, happy. And if you were not happy, that was not cool. And I remember the first time I really let myself feel sad about something. And I was like, oh my gosh, I totally know why I've been avoiding this. This is really hard. It's really sad. Like it was really uncomfortable to feel it. And then it was an extended thing. It was like for a few days. And I was just like, oh no, I have like clinical depression. But then it just ended up like, but I remember sitting in that for a long time and just being like, wow, I can see why I'm avoiding it or avoiding fear, because the physical discomfort of it is just so also profound. But I see now how my beautiful little body and brain were just like, here's a clue.
Yeah. And years of when you start getting into this kind of work, years of suppressing emotions, sometimes we do have to take a few days. And even if you've been on this work for a while, doesn't matter. Sometimes we have those moments where we just need to take a break and just not force ourselves to feel better. And that's part of it too, is like, yes, you might be resisting it, but also don't push yourself through it. Know that it's happening for you. You're not a victim to your emotions or your body. And that this is showing you something that you wouldn't have seen otherwise.
Right.
And so there's that balance of honoring where we're at and also acknowledging when that becomes a part of our identity, when that depression becomes a part of who we are. And Dr. Joe talks a lot about this too, is we literally become addicted to those emotions.
Yes.
Like we find our identity from the victimhood or the depression or even anger, you name it, and the stories we tell around them. So the work I love to do to help with entrepreneurs and people who are here feel like they have a mission is, okay, I feel imposter syndrome today, or I'm really angry that things aren't happening in my personal life. How am I supposed to show up in my business today authentically? So I love to help merge the two. How can we feel what's coming up from an authentic point of view and start to focus on where we want to go? And how can you articulate and create art, your expression of who you are, in an authentic way that magnetizes those clients to you in such an easy way, instead of forcing, okay, let's go to ChatGPT and ask, what post should I write today? There's a time and place for that, but like, how do we really use those emotions to create from?
Right. Like I was telling one of my mentors this is just so interesting, because I was telling one of my mentors yesterday or the other day, we were in a call, and I said, I know like when you say you have brain surgery, like it's totally double take worthy. So I don't want to like exploit that at all, but I do want to share like things that I've learned. And she's like, why are you using that word exploiting? You're not like exploiting a child or someone else's story. This is a situation that happened to you. So talk about it. And I just thought that was such an interesting thing too, like that feeling to not. And so then I just wrote this section on this website, like why I do things differently, because I am a changed person. And it's like, I love being able to step into that. And sometimes you just need someone. This would be great if you work with someone like Loren, like I had somebody who gave me permission to do that. She was like, you're not exploiting, leverage it, like, and share it because it's helpful and it's interesting. And I was just like, okay, that was it. We had a 30-minute call. I'm like, that was my only question.
Yeah. And to learn to work with yourself every day to check in. So I so value mentorship and coaching and help. And I mean, that's what I do. But what if you had that muscle to build for yourself, that you can build that trust to be able to just cultivate that in yourself? That's where I really see a lot of opportunity right now for a lot of creatives, a lot of entrepreneurs, because it's like we're trying to in such this masculine patriarchal energy of working all the time, grinding it
Yes.
out, or try to fit in
Yes.
or copy somebody's content that you like, but not really knowing what you
Oh,
want to create.
right. That's
And
hard.
so when we can go
That's
back
a
to our
common mistake.
bodies,
Yeah.
we're literally tuning into how we feel.
Right.
And then there's this diamond, and from all that pressure underneath, this download, like we literally become a channel for God. And so that's the deeper conversation here is our emotions are guiding us to step into our bodies so we can connect, have that conversation with God, and become that unique expression of this ego, this body, this lifetime.
Oh my gosh, I for sure want to have a part 2 with you. This has been amazing, Loren. And I mean that sincerely because I feel like we just barely scratched the surface.
Oh my gosh, I know.
It's been so interesting. The time has just flown by. If people want to learn more about you, how can they find out about you? Where, when, what? Tell me everything.
Well, I'm on Instagram mostly at Loren Cellentani, which will be in the show notes because saying my name versus spelling it. And you can also check me out on the podcast. Heather's been on it.
Yeah.
Sovereign Self Show. It's on all the podcast platforms and YouTube as well. I've been doing that for over 7 years now, which is crazy.
How many episodes have you done?
Next week will be my 300th.
What are you doing for that?
I don't know. I was going to do it this week and I said, I need to pause a week because I don't know what I want to do.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. I know.
That's awesome. 7 years. Like you were doing podcasting when it was like the new frontier. Seems like so many people are just like, I go to do these photo shoots where a bunch of entrepreneurs come together and then they shoot like 100 photos of you and then they just give you the whole photo shoot. So it's really fun and you get to meet other female founders and it is just so funny. Everyone has a podcast.
Oh my God. Like, everybody and their mother does. Yeah.
Yes, totally. But I love them. I love to listen to them too. Like I love to listen when I'm walking.
Yeah. Yeah. Tune in. Heather's episode is amazing. And reach
so
out.
Much fun.
Share your story with me. Share what did you learn from this show? I love having the conversation. And if you're inspired, create something from this. Tune into your body and share your story. Heather's a beautiful example of that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, Loren, thank you so much for being on Curveball. This has been
so
just
welcome.
a joy.